But then we've got to get into how we actually manage work, because not only has the reporting out of these EHRs been so challenging, but they've been managing the work from spreadsheets coming out of those reports, which were full of junk AR. So now we're cleaned up. Now we're prioritizing and batching work together so folks can be more efficient. Because, as we talk to these folks, everyone recognizes this. It is we're just barely keeping our head above water situation. And the problem is they find that we've seen this multiple times now, where folks are working on the wrong things. They just burned half a week or half a day doing something that didn't even need to be doing because it was sort of easy, low-hanging fruit type stuff. And they're not sort of working sort of the right accounts at the right time at all. So this has been a big challenge. And a lot of it comes back to staffing. As we've had staffing problems pre-COVID, but sort of post-COVID, in a world where, all the wages at every, McDonald's have gone up, you're losing workers and new workers aren't coming in, and you can't replace seasoned workers that might be retiring because what you pay compared to what, an easier job, easier employer down the street pays is out of whack right now. And so folks are approaching this from, the binary, do I outsource or do I not outsource? Some folks are maybe outsourcing a single payer class, those kinds of things. But there are plenty of challenges. We've talked about this before. We see this right now. The performance of the outsourced firm isn't necessarily better than the performance you had internally. So you just moved the problem, and it still requires a lot of management. Because tell us some examples you've seen here where the management of the outsourced vendor, people aren't paying enough attention, and so they end up with the same problems.
Well, it's no different than if you were successful in bringing someone in new, right? There's the learning curve, no matter in-house out. And are you going to be able to follow up, go behind that person? If you find that they've misunderstood or skipping a step, or now they've written off things that shouldn't have been. So you have to reverse that and then reverse what they were supposed to reverse. So it is a matter of being able to monitor what have they been delegated, how much did they accomplish, and are we needing to go back to some refresher in the training steps? The other thing is that the outsourced people, of course, it's the communication, the feedback you get. Are they giving you feedback? Is there email? Are you doing it by email? How are you keeping up with emails or messages within the EHR system? What is that communication way? Are you using direct communication, or are you going to have to run reports to see the success of what they've been given to do?
Well, and most people are running reports and getting, weekly or every other week, or sometimes as little as monthly updates from the vendor in sort of meetings that are superficial. So as we're transitioning staff of the internal team into the Lockbox platform, as well as the subcontracted outsourced team to also work inside of Lockbox so that they can label issues. And, as new projects come up, we can sort of label projects and assign them over to the folks at the subcontracted outsourced firm. But if you don't have that common working layer, you're actually creating a lot more headaches than you had before you outsourced, because now instead of just turning to the cubicle next to you or walking down the hall to ask a question, you're getting emails with attachments, and more things are falling through the cracks more often. So sort of the common working platform, it's just so critical to make this work. Even if you do some level of outsourcing, that's a requirement.
Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest problem, again, whether it's outsourced or in-house, is how do you measure the workload capability? What capacity of work can a person do in a day? So, because what happens is, the months roll so fast. I remember back in my day, it's like, oh my God, it's month end again. I've got to do reconciliation again. It's time to do reports for the board. the months just rolled around so fast. And I know that the people on the AR team is not able to finish their A to Z before the first of the month rolls around again. So what happens to those every time a new month comes? What happens to the work that they didn't complete? How do you know how much they did and didn't complete, right?
Yeah.
You want to be able to give them the workload that fits their schedule or fits their pace.
Yeah.
And is their pace too slow? You know, so those are the things that's hard to manage.
Yeah, you've got to bring the common working platform to bring transparency to who's doing what and who's not doing what matters a
Mm-hmm.
lot.